Welcome back to another YouTube. Today we are going to train full body. Basically what my training is like at the moment, my goals are common faults I would see with people trying to achieve the goals that I'm trying to achieve at the moment. Always go old school pen and paper, just like getting off the phone. I find it distracts me a good bit. I lose my focus with my training. So the way I kind of think of it is like, well, if I was going to a hurling session, started pulling out my phone in between drills, I'm sure the manager wouldn't be too happy with me. When we're training, sometimes people ask me what exercises should go first, and really it depends, right? So say for example, when I was powerlifting and I was trying to get better at squatting, that was going to be the top of the priority list. Exercises I would do first in the sessions, I generally had the most energy and I saw a bigger, jump on those exercises. What I try to do is the muscle groups that I want to develop or the exercises that I want to get stronger on, I try to put them at the top of the session. So say for example, I'm actually starting with biceps, okay? Arms is something I clearly do not have much muscle on, okay? Not too bad, they're strong enough, but I want to develop them over the next kind of 6 to 12 months, okay? It's not something I've ever placed a massive emphasis on. I find it really, really boring to train arms. I'm probably not the generic fella that likes going in and just blasting arms over it. I always much prefer training legs. My weights that I done last week, and now let's try beat them. Back to the diary. So that was 65 for 9 reps, right? So commonly what I will see is people struggle to know how to progress their movements, okay? So basically what we want to see in the gym, this as layman's terms as possible, right? I leave all the sciencey stuff to the science lads. Okay, so in the gym, we want to see our reps starting to come to a slow at the end of a movement. We are bringing that muscle group towards muscular failure. I'm exercising my biceps there. They're designed to flex my elbow, so bend my elbow. Basically, I don't really want to be able to bend my elbow by the end of that set. That's about as simple as I could make it. We don't want to be failing reps in the sense of, we're getting really sloppy with our technique. So I'm trying to work my bicep, that flexes my elbow. If I am alternating my movement pattern, okay, somewhere else in my body to shift that weight, I'm not actually using the function of my bicep to flex my elbow. The thing we want to see is the external load on that exercise going up week to week, okay? So we're placing a stressor on the body. Next week, we want to try place an extra little bit of stress, okay? So essentially what I could do there is I done 65 kg there for 9 reps. Next week I could try stay with that 65, try get maybe 10 reps, okay, that would be an overload, an extra little bit of stress. Or I could go up weight on that exercise, okay. Generally on the smaller muscle groups, the more so isolation work, it's probably favourable to add a rep week to week and just try stay with rep progressions on that exercise until maybe I got like 12 on that exercise, and then maybe I could take a load progression and then go again, okay. What I see, a big mistake for most people is they change their program too much, okay, so they're not actually getting like proper overload week to week, and then they're not really seeing the results that they're looking for. Just saying to you there, whatever muscle groups we want to develop and bring up, we want to place higher in the order of the session. Moving on to now is a tricep push down, okay, so again with the order selection of the exercises as well, I'm not going to go on and start doing, prioritizing heavy pressing after doing tons of triceps, or I'm not going to go on and prioritize like say maybe heavy rows or pull downs after doing a good bit of bicep work. So I leave that for another day on my workouts. Having a coach to guide you through how to program your workouts and get the most out of it is really important. And I've learned this not just through textbooks, not just being a coach myself, but actually hiring really good coaches that were much better than me at the time and teaching me how to do this. Okay, so again, I done 60 kg for 11 reps on this the last time. So I'm just going to stay with this weight this week and try beat my reps. I can't say that I feel amazing going into this session, all right? This is an earlier session for me. I trained yesterday as well. Usually I'd have a bigger gap in between these sessions. So these are all things over time that you gain experience with factored in, all right? So if I felt really good this morning, I might take a load progression on this, but I just don't feel like 100%, so I'm just going to stay with this weight and try to get rep progression. Whew. There's my progression got there, right? So what I see with a lot of lads is, or ladies, just towards the end of that movement there, they'll start to shift here, right? So there'll be movement starting to come in around their hips to force that weight down, and we don't want that, right? We're just trying to work a relatively small muscle group, which is our triceps, right? So again, that's just designed to extend our elbow. Try find a position that's comfortable for me, a bit forward lean, and then I'm just looking to, oh Jesus, I'm starting all over the place. So I'm just looking to get forward lean, extend my arm, and standardize my reps. So 1, 2 on the way back up. Try catch a half a second pause here and push back down, because this is where it goes wrong for a lot of people. They're shifting with their hips, they're swinging and they're down here and they're doing all sorts of stuff. They're taking tension off their triceps and then they're not getting the most out of the movement. We've covered how to progress your movements week to week. We're starting to cover how to standardize our movements. Okay, we're also looking into how we can alter our technique, taking load off that muscle group, not working it as well as we can. We're also going through, rep progressions, what way we should do that, or load progressions. We're also covering, staying at the program long enough to see proper progressions as well. Importance of your logbook. Okay, so if I didn't have this written down last week, I would not be able to see what I've done. I would forget it, and then I'm coming in this week and I might not be overloading that movement then. Okay, so basically AirPods in when I'm doing the set, flick it on, good music, and just try shift that weight and try getting progression. Once we pair that with good recovery variables, we're going to see ourselves getting stronger. Okay. A lot of coaches these days are just overcomplicating it so much for people. So now we're on to RDLs, and another mistake that I would see with this would be not warming up at the bar. I remember going to a seminar in London with Thor Bjornsson and Sebastian Oreb, his strength coach. And for anyone who doesn't know, Thor can deadlift, is it 510 kg now? Demonstrating in the seminar, and he was starting with an empty bar. And I remember thinking, if the world's strongest man opens up with an empty bar and can deadlift 510 kg, that's probably where you should start as well. Okay, so what I think about is, it's allowing me to practice the movement. So in the gym, it's not like poking a ball, it's not like taking a free kick in soccer. You can't just go out onto a field and do it as much as you like, okay? Because you're placing a stressor on your body that you need to recover from. So with starting with the bar, it allows me to practice stepping into the bar. The amount of people that butcher actually setting up to RDLs, so they go and an empty bar, they'll grab it like that, okay? So how we do anything is how we do everything. So if I'm getting up to a top set for like a PB on this weight, I want to literally wedge my hips in. So I'm actually squeezing my glutes before I stand up, and then I'm taking 1 to 2 steps back, steps back, and I'm good to go from there, right? And then I'm practicing that movement. So I want to practice my brace in my belly, so getting my air, and then I'm pushing my hips back. And even though this is an empty barbell, I'm pretending this is a top set for me, okay? Obviously not. You could be grunting and breathing a little bit louder on a top set, but it's allowing me to practice with this bar. We're in the gym. The second we touch a barbell, it's a chance to practice it, okay? And that's going to stop you from getting stronger in the gym, and that's going to stop you from building more muscle in the gym. For me now is warm-up sets, all right? And this is where I see a lot of people going wrong, okay? They A, either don't do them, or B, they lift way too much and fatigue themselves for their top sets. So the idea of a warm-up set is basically you're just practicing this movement to get ready for your top set. Up as if I'm setting up for a top set, so feet under the bar, wedge my hips in, squeeze the glutes, 1 to 2 steps back, then I get my brace, and then I'm just hinging from there and standing up nice and tall, okay? A common mistake that I see with RDLs as well, people shift their weight onto the heels, they bend their knees too much and they only get their torso there. So if you practice pushing your weight through your big toe and baby toe, a little bit on the heel as well, you're going to get into that hinge a little bit better. The idea behind the straps as well is because my grip won't allow me to hold enough weight that our big and strong glutes, hammies and lower back can. Okay, so we don't want our grip to limit the weight that we're doing on that movement, because we're not going to get as much muscle development in the gym then. I've done the bar, I've done 70, and I've done basically 5 reps at the bar, 3 reps at 70, and now I'm just going to do 1 with 100, okay, before my top set. So basically, I know once I'm starting to strap up my hands, I'm getting closer anyway, to a top set. And I feel I always had these different cues when I was powerlifting as well that just were starting to help me get in the zone. Do you know, if I was starting to wrap my wrist for a squat or starting to wrap my wrist for a bench, I kind of started to tune in a little bit more. So I actually find the straps help me do that on certain movements as well. Okay, so I'm just doing 1 rep here to prepare myself for the top set. So nice strong setup. Wedge the hips in, 1 to 2 steps, trying to push my big toe, baby toe into the ground so not too much weight is going on my heel. Get my brace. Drive my hips through, squeeze my glutes, and rack it eventually. So again, sometimes people aren't aggressive enough with their lockout. So what we want to see is when we're coming from the bottom, I'm thinking my hips are going that way, firing these glutes, and then I hate that word actually. I hate firing the glutes. The glutes are on. You don't need to switch them on. Squeeze your glutes, and then at the top as well, I'm trying to actually extend my knees, so I almost think of like a jump, so I can squeeze my quads at the top then. Now, what I'm going to do is just rest maybe a couple of minutes and then go up and do my top set, okay? A massive fault I have with my RDLs is I sit onto my heels, and I see so many people doing that as well, okay? So I'm trying to actually strip back the load a little bit and get better at kind of distributing the weight across my toes as well, because I purely go onto my heels. I think it's because I'm so used to deadlifting with a straight bar. I know I'm stronger in that position. So what do we want here? Whew. Is basically just lunges, all right, nothing too fancy, an underhand grip, lat pull down, and single arm cable lateral raise, okay? So the exact same principles that I'm talking about with those first few exercises would be the same with those, and understanding that the key ingredient is hard work and effort and intensity in the gym. You know, you pair that with some decent recovery outside the gym, you're going to get results. So again, I last week, again, top set was bet on the RDLs by 1 rep. So this week I'm feeling pretty good, so I'm going to actually take a load progression on the back offset as well. Feeling pretty good on that RDL now. I'm confident I'll beat that. And then I'm going to finish off with these last 3 exercises. All right, so just going to try literally keep these YouTube videos to 8 to 12 minutes. I don't feel anyone wants to watch me for any longer than that, maybe in time, but yeah, that's all for now. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a share. I think that's what all the cool kids say. I don't know, do whatever you want.